that. So, guess. So, I have like little pieces. We don't know how long it's going to go, but we'll see how it goes here. Because I don't have too many notes, like only half a page. So it's good for Dad. That was, if it was Dad, so hopefully that rubs off here, because I have very little on the notepad, so, so hopefully that'll rub off here. I'm trying to think where we start here. Today I'm coming more like as like a flagman in the road, and like warnings about stuff that is out there, you know, because this is we're in the end of times, and it's things are pretty serious, so we need to be doing everything we can, walking in the authority that we have, because the beginning of my message that I had started was that it's a quote, I believe it was Bill Johnson, and he said that lack fills in where prayerlessness prevails. So anywhere that you have lack in your life, whether it's lack in your love, your joy, your peace, your health, your finances, whether relationships, it's all because you haven't prayed for it. I think it was Mary Frances said that prayer, something about train tracks. Prayer is like the train tracks that the rest of the train follows. So if you don't lay the tracks with prayer, then your train's gonna get derailed. So you're gonna fall off the tracks. So while I was thinking about this evening, one of the lacks that could happen from prayerlessness is we could have the lack of the correct president ending up because we didn't pray for it. So that's a big one. We want to make sure that this country stays on track, and we want to make sure we vote in people that are for this country and not for themselves. And it always baffles me why they want to cut down the country that made them able to do what they're doing. And I pointed out to some other people, like, do you know the group that you're calling to be in power would make it illegal to do what you're doing? You'd be put in jail or stoned or something for doing what you're doing, trying to get them in power so they can have authority over you. It just doesn't make sense. It's this weird circle. So let's see. So the part of like what the watchman part is that to get you off being able to walk in your authority is distractions. And so distractions are really a big thing right now. And the way that the enemy works is he's not going to turn you so that you're like walking around this gross darkness and it's like, well, duh, of course, I obviously know that this is wrong. Just a little twist, and just get you off track just enough. And like Jordan always talks about her hiking adventures, it's like you've gone off the trail, but you're still on the mountain, but you're off the trail, so you don't see where you're supposed to be going. So he twists things just a little bit, and he's one of the things I wrote was really good there. It was he's a lot more crafty than that. He's not going to just throw you way off the path. He's not going to bring you down to the valley like you fell all the way down the mountain and ended up in the valley. You're still up on the hill. Hey, I can still go down, so I'm doing good. But you're not on your path. You may be on someone else's path, or trying to follow where some other expert hiker went. And, yeah, when they're only that wide, it's because it's an animal path. It's not because it's people. So don't go down those. And you find, like, the real steep hills where they're equipped to walk on those. And all this will preach, though. These will preach a lot better, You can expand on that like on Saturday or something. So yeah, I'm just filling them in, giving them food for later. Yeah. So yeah, just trailer crumbs. So you can get back on that. Yeah, so you can So the So let's get back on track. Where there's a little animal. This is an animal path. This is like a little rabbit trail. So that was a excellent working example right there. I always like to show you what's going on, you know. So, so the diversions are always little. He'll let you keep listening to tapes and stuff, and I don't even do tapes anymore. Sorry about that. It's 8 tracks. They had 8 tracks. You push the button, and you could go to one of 4 places on the track. But as you're listening to a message in whatever form you can choose of right now, there's he'll let you do that, and that's fine. He'll let you do that. He'll let you come to church, and that's always something. It's no big deal. He's fine. Let them think they're good with church. The diversions come around the relationship portion. That's the time he steals from you, is when you're trying to get close. So that's the parts that you got to watch out for. And you can, these days, and I knew it was true, and then I watched a little bit of a movie that was suggested maybe a month ago now. And it's kind of like not even our fault now. We are battling the wealthiest people and businesses in the entire world, building supercomputers that are like hotels full of hard drives that are, they know you. They know exactly who you are. They know everything about you. They know everything you've clicked on or paused on, and they know what you're looking at, and they know exactly how to get you to stay on and get diverted again and again and again. So you can almost say it's not your fault, except it's the easiest thing in the world not to, if you just don't see it. If you're not watching the computer, the major supercomputer that has more power than you'd ever think that it had over you and your decisions and how you're thinking, if you just don't watch it, it has 0 authority over you. So walk in your authority by closing the laptop. It's very interesting in the movie that they were showing that it knows exactly what decision you're going to make before you make it. It's going to send up like 20 different things, and it's like, okay, it's going to pick the 3rd one, and you go and you choose that one. And that's one of the pieces in it was like every time I see it now, it's like it's trying to keep me on, because its job is to keep you sidetracked and not get doing what you're supposed to do. So the little thing that tells you, like Sherry's typing, like when I send a message and I pick up my phone and it says Sherry's typing, what are you gonna do? You just be like, okay, yeah, I'll get it when I get done. No, you sit there and you wait. You're like, well, it can't be only that long, and how long is this message? You know, so you're like waiting, and like, okay, it's got you. And the whole thing is, it's focused around ads and getting, more people to spend money to. People are. One of the lines in it was, because we don't pay for internet or anything like now, it's just there. You just pick up your phone and it's there. So it says, if you're not paying for the product, you are the product. So they're selling you, and all to keep you distracted. And so, it says, no, oh, she's typing. And it's all, every time I see that pop up, I just think right back to the video. It's like, yep, put the phone away. It's like, it's all that little things. Because that's the little thing that says, oh, somebody on the other end is going to give me something that gives me value. They're going to send me a message, and it's going to give me that little boost that, I feel good. Somebody's thinking about me. And just that little thing. And there's like people in the video, they were like, this guy designed the like button. That was like his job. He designed the like button. And I'm sure he made lots and lots of money for coming up with that little thing that, yep, I like you. Even though you never see the person, you've got like 10,000 friends, like, yeah, how many are really friends? So he'll let you stay off path and do all those things, which is, where is it? You're like, you heard of people that are like, constantly, I'm trying to think of the P word that's like perennial. It's something like that. It's you're always a student. It's a perpetual student. So you're a perpetual student, and they just go to school and learn and and they're just learning and learning and learning and learning and learning and never get a job. They live at home with their mom until they're 50 years old or something, and they're just going to school. It's forever learning, but never actually being productive at anything. And so that's like what the enemy doesn't want us to do. He'll let us go to church and go listen to tapes and everything. There goes tapes again. It's from Dad. I gotta... Guess it's not me, it's the pulpit. He always said tapes too, so I guess it came by. So, and that's, he'll let you do all this stuff, but never actually be productive in actually learning, getting close to Abba. And the results of this is emptiness and no hope. And so, because you have no hope and all this, so what do? You look for more distractions that are going to fill that gap. So now it's like, okay, I used to do this, and it's like, that was good. And then you're like, okay, well, that doesn't cut it anymore. It's like, a drug addict. You're like, oh, I need a stronger drug now. So now I'm going to go look at 20 videos tonight before I go to sleep. And, it's like click, click, click. And, oh, hey, there's this other one that just plays them automatically. You can just watch all the people and their cats and stuff. And you don't even have to hit the button anymore. It just plays. Yeah. Yeah, that's that little, that's a lot like the, Sherry's typing little thing. It says suggested video. It's coming up next. Like, what are they doing? Why do they have their hand like that? And so you just watch, because it's all designed. I don't like it because I'm a YouTube guy. It's like on YouTube, not just watching, but the way those things are designed, like your thumbnails and everything, is designed specifically that you have to click on it. They work on psychology, and the thumbnail and the text and everything about it is that you get curious enough. It's called an open loop, I think, and you have to click on it to close the loop, so you know what they're talking about. So all these little things that are designed, it doesn't close because then it's an open. Yeah, there's always something. The loop never closes, he was saying. It's like, yeah, because there's going to be another loop right next to it. And it's just like this giant chain, and you're just closing the next loop and the next loop. And you're making this chain that's chaining you to the computer. Good symbolism there. Just popped up as I was saying. So we really got to stay on our authority and being in the right place and walking in our authority and studying things about having the authority, because that's where we need to be right now, because things are getting really ugly around. I don't know if you watch the news or not. I'm trying not to, so it's kind of hard when you work in a place that has 70 TVs going in every room. Thankfully, most of them are Golden Girls, so it's okay. See the Golden Girls of The View, and it's like, oh my goodness, yeah. Yeah, we need a cleaning in that room, and the cleaners always shut the TVs off. So they were cleaning the remote, and oops, it shut off, and the batteries fell out. Sorry. Yeah, it's bad. So thankfully, there's other things they can do. So, but yeah, if you kind of my final point is, if you're in a place, if you can't sit there and say, God, or call him Abba, if you can't be in a place where you say God, and he says what, you need to be closer. It's got to be right there. You got to be in that place where it's just like, if my wife were in the same room with me, mosquito. It's that warm out. Sorry. So it's trying to distract me. I did focus. I got him. I always attack the enemy. Yeah. Yeah, another symbolism there. Yeah. So it'd be like just like if Sherry was in the room with me and I said Sherry, and she's hopefully going to say what, Yeah, unless she's texting with Jordan, she might not, because it says Jordan's texting, so she's waiting. So just here as a warning, flagman in the road, be very diligent, especially now through like, till things get better. I mean, who knows when that's going to be. Yeah, it may be enough where we check out. That kind of links me to a piece that I had at the beginning when because Kelsey sent out the links of what we prayed about or preached about last year. So I went through and was listening to what I talked about last year, and I brought up Barney Fife and stuff. Remember that one? I had a bunch of people laughing on that one. That was because we're not seeing results in, we got all the power and authority been taught to us, but we're not walking in it. And that happens because I've got two that are continuing in the background here, just thinking about Barney Fife here. So because of distractions, you're not walking in the authority that you have. So we're kind of continuing on what I did last year, that you've got to stay without distractions in the Word and in your authority to have the authority to walk in it, to be an effective Christian. Because right now, till the end comes, which seems like it could be pretty quick, but nobody really knows. Though all the fingers are pointing that way right now. So, in Dad's message last year, because Dad kind of came up like Jordan's going to do after, and she'll fill in, more time after I'm done talking, and so he got up and he was talking for longer than my message was. Which is typical. Jordan will probably do the same thing. So he got up and he was talking about he couldn't see what would happen that would cause 2/3 of the church to fall away in the end of time. And he said, this is just 1 year ago. He said he's pretty sure it had something to do with persecution, but couldn't see what it would be that would cause something like that to happen. And it's like we're walking in it 1 year later. The election thing doesn't look good if either person gets elected, because one, you get the government that's putting everything in act, and then you get the other one that what we call the good guy to get in. Then the other side just goes nuts because he won. It's like, and start stomping their feet and throwing a little fit on the ground. You just do with guns and fire and stuff like that. So it's a little different. It's an adult hissy fit. Not really adult though. So yeah, it's very loosely using the term adult in that one. So if that happens, persecution can come. And like Dad used the illustration, if there's a whole line of Christians there and they're just saying, are you a Christian? And you say yes, and they shoot you. How many people down the line until someone says no, even though they are? So they've turned away from the faith because, well, if I stand or if I go to church anymore, if I do anything like that, I may get shot when I walk out. So you find who's really serious about it when stuff like that happens. It's a good question to ask yourself, because, would I? I don't know. That's a bullet. That's serious. So do you keep your faith publicly, or do you keep your faith privately after that? It's like, I'm not turning away from God, but I may turn away from it outside the house, So it's a real serious question. See, where do you think you are? Even if you think you're there, you may not be there when people are actually having stuff happen to them. So that was Dad's insight from just 1 year ago, that things can happen quickly. And if he was still here, it'd be like, that's what I was talking about. I see it now. There's a couple other things he had mentioned that he could never see it, but now he could. And it's just because of all the stuff that's happening here at the end of times. So I think that's all.
Excellent. There's definitely a lot in that. As he was talking in the beginning about, the enemy using distractions to throw us off our path, goes right along with what we've been talking about the past few nights of Sukkot. The enemy's always going to try to come and distract. He's a master of distractions. Starting right in Genesis 3:1, it says, "Now the serpent was more subtle and crafty than any living creature of the earth." It doesn't say he was more wicked and bad and evil. It wasn't an obvious thing. He was more subtle and crafty. You know, the enemy's very rarely going to come at you with something that you obviously know is sin, that you obviously know is wrong for you to step into. He's going to try to lure you into it with something that's more subtle. But if you start to get into that more subtle thing, he can take you one step further, one step further, one step further, and that's how you keep walking off the path. You know, and like he was talking about the whole thing with their plan, their plot in computers. I know that happens to me. Like if I'm looking up something, say I'm looking up a dress online, all of a sudden that dress pops up everywhere, all over the place, and it's like, how do they know? Like, even if you clear your search history, it still is there. Like, they still have it in there. Yeah, and there's still ways to be able to pull it out. So they are watching you, whether you think it or not. That's why we always got to be watchful of what we're looking up and where we're going, where we're allowing ourselves to go on the internet when we're on there. Yes, go right ahead.
There was one more piece in there that was very interesting about that. I don't know where they got that thing aimed. So. Yeah. She's got better notes than I had, so. So if you go, and it's very interesting, and it preaches too, that if you go into your search engine here and you type in what is climate change, it'll tell you something different than it tells the people in California. It all depends on what you look at. So the people that we think are crazy out there, that are standing for the left, they're not as much crazy as we think they are. That's the truth they've been taught. Every place they go, they see that side of the story. They never see that Trump's the good guy that's done more for this country than any other president in the last 70 years. They don't even see it. So because of the AI, and it knows who they are and knows every place they've been, it shows them their truth. So when they see it, it's showing, it's like, what's truth to this person? That's the truth I'm going to feed them. So they don't even know that they're being deceived, because everything that they're showing is that Trump's a racist guy that's going to drag this country down. So everything they see is about racism. It's like, so it is true to them, because that's the truth they're being taught every time they're on the computer, every time they're on their phone, every time they do anything that's through the internet. It hooks up and teaches them more about their truth. So we could all go into Google right now and search what is climate change, and we'll have different answers, because we may be pretty close here because we kind of believe the same thing. But yeah, you'll get different answers depending on where you search from. Very interesting.
And that goes along with the whole thing, the idea that the God of this world has blinded the eyes of those who don't believe. They literally don't see. They literally don't know that they're being duped. I don't know how many people I've come, older people that I've come across who've been talking to them, and we end up talking about Trump, and they're like, I'd never vote for Trump. He's for abortion. Like, no, you actually have that backwards. They're like, but the Republicans are the ones that support abortion. No, it's the Democrats that support abortion. Like, they literally don't even know. Because they've been fed this lie so many times that he's against this, so it makes them think, okay, well, then that's not the right side. You know, again, if you have people that are in the Catholic Church, the leaders of the Catholic Church have already stated that if you're truly Catholic, you shouldn't be voting Democrat in this election. But how many Catholics will vote Democrat? I mean, look at our own state, Massachusetts, where majority Catholic and majority Democrat. And it's like there's a disconnect between the beliefs of people and what they're taught, and they try to split it down the middle, and it can't. You know, what you believe is what you believe, you know? In another verse, when he was talking about how they, you're always perpetual learners. Like, people are always gathering information but never actually going out and getting a job and applying it. Well, 2 Timothy 3:7 says they seem to always be learning but never seem to gain the full measure of the truth. So we can do that in the Word, and I think that's what he was basically talking about. We can get to a place where the enemy will let us still come to church, let us still be listening to the Word, let us still be listening to teachings, and we're always learning, putting a new teaching on, putting a new teaching on, putting a new teaching. Okay, yeah, they'll even let you read the Bible. You can be a Greek scholar, you can be a Hebrew scholar, and you can tell everybody the root words of it, but do you have a relationship with the author of the book? When it comes down to it, do you have a relationship with the author of the book, or is it all intellectual? Is it all, I've learned all this stuff, but I'm not applying it to my life? Do you know how to apply the word that you're reading to your own life, do you know how to connect the dots? It's like, life is like a big game of connect the dots, basically. Like, you just have to connect the dots. But a lot of people don't know how to do that, really, we find out. It's like, okay, this dot connects to this dot, and they somehow draw a line over to some other dot, and it's like, no, 1, 2, 3. This is easy. But again, it's easy to you because you can see it. Not easy to somebody who can't see. If they're blind, they can't see the dots. Right? So again, like everything that he was saying, the enemy comes in subtle ways to get us off track. So he's not going to, like Dad had said, he's not going to come in a red suit with horns and a pitchfork, and you're going to be like, oh, there's the devil. Even the Bible describes him as an angel of light. He was the most beautiful angel. He was originally a worshiper. He comes in ways that he comes as an angel of light, even though he's not. Like he says, he comes as a roaring lion. He's not. He comes as a deceiver. What does it mean to be deceived? It means you think something's true that's not true. So anything that he says, he is the father of lies. So anything he says, you know that the exact opposite is true. If he comes to you telling you that you can't do something, then you know the exact opposite is true. By the word, he says, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. If he comes telling you that you're a failure, the word says that I am more than a conqueror through him who loved me. Everything that he might come against you with, there's an answer for in the word. And there's a song for it. There's a song for it. There is an answer in the word for anything that he can throw against you. Any temptation that may arise. Any trial you might encounter in your life. And coming up to his what he ended with, will we be able to stand up under persecution and all that? If you have your eyes in the right place, then even that won't throw you. The only way that if somebody is holding a gun to your head and says, are you a Christian? If not, he's going to shoot you. Let's just take it in the natural. So let's say he shoots you. What happens if that bullet hits you and you die? Where will you be? You're going to be in glory. You're going to be in glory. If you really believe that heaven is a real place, you have no fear about anything. They can only take your body, but you've checked out and you're in a better place. If your eyes are on the Lord, if your eyes are on your final destination, then it should make it the answer easier. But if we've been listening to the distractions of the enemy and focusing on what he's trying to throw at us and focusing on that, we don't have a deep knowing, a deep intimate relationship with the Lord. That's how it can be harder for us to walk that path in confidence. You know what I mean? And it all goes back to knowing the authority that we have, knowing who we are. The Authority of the Believer by John Macmillan is one of the best books, and it's something that has started resurrecting back up. We had all started reading it a few years ago. Many of us had started reading it. Billy Brim had done a whole teaching on it, and about taking your seat of authority and everything. I think it's a good one to resurrect up and start rereading over and filling ourselves with who we are, with whose we are. Reading stories like the 3 men in the fiery furnace. The fire didn't burn them. They came out without even the smell of smoke. Reading the testimonies of Terry Mize. Terry Mize, who had a man hold a gun to his head and the bullets did not hit him. Pastor John Hagee had a man walk into the church and start shooting at him, and one of the bullets went through the wall that was right behind where he was, but didn't hit him. You know, those are the things we've got to start feeding ourselves on. You know, and the world's going to be throwing all these things of the bad, of the evil that's going on. And its purpose, there's an agenda behind it. Its purpose is to instill fear in us. And it's an agenda from the enemy. And that's why, like he said, it's best to not watch the news. Don't put it on yourself. If you're in a place where it's on, then you need to be speaking back to it. I know that I have to, like we were saying when we were working in Lemons Cross. If it's The View, we're shutting it off because I'm just not going there. It's just she knows. I get very heated when they're saying their stuff. Anyways, but if it's under our control to not put it on, just don't look at it. If a headline pops up on your phone, which they do all the time, you know, you go on Google, it's going to pop up headlines of news. Just don't click on it. You know, sometimes avoiding getting off path is just as easy as not looking at it. Like he said, close the laptop if you have to. Or, what was it, fireproof? Break down the computer if it's that extreme, you know? But if you can head it off when it's a little tiny seed, you just uproot it I'm not even gonna look at it. The enemy's trying to put a distraction in front of you, just don't even look at it. You just keep your eyes on the leader of your faith, which goes back to what we were talking about the past couple nights, that him surrounding us with songs of deliverance, with keeping our eyes on the path that we're traveling. You know, if you're driving, you can't be a distracted driver. You cannot. That's the biggest cause of accidents when you're driving, is distractions. You're looking at your phone, you're looking at something else, you're talking to somebody in the car. In this race of faith, we're driving at high speeds. The margin for error is very small. And again, it's not going to be like a major, okay, come off into this big sin. And no, he's going to bring subtle distractions that will slowly start weakening, start draining your faith, start draining your energy, start draining your resources. And then before you know it, you turn around and it's like, oh my goodness, I'm not where I need to be. I need to recover. Like, yes, like the warehouse. Scott was talking about that. Did you want to talk about that? Just one. There was a video of a guy in a forklift, and he was, it was like a BJ's warehouse type of thing. He was driving around in the forklift, much taller. It was a big warehouse, like storing lots and lots of stuff. And water. It was a water storage place, and water bottles. And so he's driving around, and he went by one of the pillars, and it seemed like he had gone by it, but he barely grazed it and kept going. And then all of a sudden the wall fell over, and then the next wall fell over, and pretty soon the entire building had imploded on itself in like 20 seconds. It was like down the entire building. So it's like, okay, well, it seemed like he barely grazed the edge of it. That's not a big deal. It is a big deal because of what it caused. Going back to what we've been talking about this entire feast season, there is no minor error. That one little misstep can have a domino effect throughout the rest of your life. It can trigger events in your life that when afterwards you say, how did that even happen? Look at Job. When he was offering those sacrifices, in case my children have done something evil. It seemed like a minor thing. It seemed harmless. But it opened up a series of events in his life that were never meant to happen. He gave the enemy an open door into his life. You give him an inch, he's going to take a mile. We cannot even afford to give him an inch in this day and age. We cannot even afford to give him a glance. Don't even glance that way. We need to be like the horse with the blinders on. We need to put those spiritual blinders on and say, I refuse to get distracted by anything. I refuse to look at anything but what the Word says, I am. I'm just keeping my focus on it. And like we said, you keep coming back to this. Turn off the news. Turn off the TV. Don't be looking at these things. Even in the guise of saying, well, I'm staying up with the events, current on the events that are going on. You know what? The events are the events. They keep going on. Things are happening in the world, and it's pretty much the same thing going on every day. But you start hearing that, it does affect you, whether you realize it or not. And it may not, and you go down that path, you get to a point where a situation occurs in your life, and the enemy suddenly pulls a string, and all that you've seen, all that you've watched, all that you've heard is going to suddenly come flooding in, and that's going to be your reality above what the Word of God says. If you are feeding on the Word of God and who you are in these stories that he's delivered this person, he's delivered this person, he's no respecter of persons. He saved this person out of this, he saved this person out of this. You feed on those things. Then when a situation arises in front of you that is a dangerous situation, then you have that string to pull, and all of that will come flooding in, and you'll rise up in the power and authority of who you are. But it starts in the little things. It starts in the little steps that you take. Every step in the right direction. Every step on track with what Yahweh has called us to do. Amen? I think that's all I got too. That was very good. There's a lot in that. There is a lot in that, and we need to make sure that we're applying that to our life. And it is a serious message. Like he said, watchman on the wall, a flagman in the road, it's not, you have to make these little course corrections so that you don't end up having to make a major course correction that's going to set everything off in your life. Think of a plane when you're flying in a plane. Pilot's constantly making little adjustments. If he didn't make those little adjustments, then we wouldn't end up in Israel when we're flying overseas. We'd end up somewhere in the Siberia or something, if he didn't make those little course corrections. And sometimes, if you're heading toward a mountain, yeah, you need a major course correction to get you back on track. But if we pay attention, and you know what? Holy Spirit is so good to bring things across our path. I'm thankful when something's pointed out that you're a little off in that. You need to adjust how you react to that. You would need to adjust this in your life, because that means it's those little course corrections. And if I pay attention to those, it's like following the trail on the mountain. If I just make the step over here instead of over here, I'm going to stay on the track, and I'm going to get to the destination that I am called to get to, in all the victory and all the authority and everything that Yahweh has called us to do. Amen. Well, let's stand up and we'll sing some songs. Oh, actually, I want to try something tonight. Yes, you